Let me ask you something that's going to sting. What if everything you think you know about loyalty, trust, and reading your wife's behavior is completely backward? What if the signs you're ignoring right now are the exact ones that could save you from years of living a lie? Today, I'm going to give you 8 psychological tactics rooted in behavioral science and Stoic awareness that will help you catch a cheating wife. Not to destroy your marriage, not to feed paranoia, but to give you clarity. Because a man who knows the truth can make powerful decisions. A man living in denial just suffers in silence. If you value truth over comfortable lies, hit that like button immediately. Subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know where my strongest, most aware men are tuning in tonight. Tactic 1. The strategic silence test. Here's the first tactic: strategic silence. Most men start asking questions, interrogating, demanding answers. That's exactly wrong. Why? Because a guilty person has already prepared defenses. They've rehearsed the lies. But silence? Silence is a psychological weapon she can't defend against. When you notice something off, a weird text notification, her coming home later than usual, don't react, don't ask, just observe, let the silence sit there. What happens next is fascinating. Humans are psychologically wired to fill silence with words. It creates discomfort, especially when there's guilt involved. A cheating woman will start volunteering information you never asked for. She'll over-explain her day, mention names, places, times, details you didn't request because she's trying to fill the void your silence created. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." You don't fight fire with fire. You become still water, and in that stillness, you see everything clearly. Your silence must be authentic, not manipulative. You're creating space for truth to reveal itself. If she's innocent, your calm presence will reassure her. If she's guilty, your silence will unravel her. So resist the urge to interrogate. Pull back, observe. Listen to what she says when you haven't asked anything. That's where the truth lives. Tactic 2. The digital footprint analysis. Let's talk about something most men either ignore completely or obsess over incorrectly: digital behavior. Your wife's phone, social media, messaging apps. These aren't just communication tools. They're psychological profiles. And if you know how to read them correctly, they tell you everything. But here's where men go wrong. They try to hack passwords, read deleted messages, play detective like they're in a spy movie. That's amateur hour. That's desperation. And it usually backfires because if she catches you snooping, you've lost all moral high ground. Instead, you need to understand digital footprint analysis. You're not looking for smoking guns. You're looking for pattern changes. Here's what I mean. Does she suddenly have her phone on silent 24/7 when it used to ring freely? Does she take it to the bathroom every single time? Does her screen face down constantly, even when she's just watching TV? These aren't proof of cheating, but they're behavioral shifts worth noting. Or look at her social media differently. You're not checking who she's messaging. You're checking engagement patterns. Did she suddenly start liking certain people's posts more frequently? Is there someone whose stories she views immediately, but never interacts with publicly? That's called lurking, and it's a classic sign of hidden interest. Here's another layer: response time patterns. A faithful woman generally has consistent response times to your messages. Maybe she's quick during lunch, slower during work hours, predictable. But when those patterns shift without explanation, when she's suddenly slow to respond to you, but you can see she's active online, that's a red flag. The psychology behind this is simple. When someone is emotionally investing in another person, their attention economy shifts. You get less, someone else gets more, and digital behavior doesn't lie. From a Stoic perspective, Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply that to observation. Watch twice as much as you question. Digital footprints are modern-day whispers. Listen to them. Tactic 3. The micro-expression reading. Most men miss this completely because they're not trained to see it. But if you want to catch deception, you need to become a student of micro-expressions. These are involuntary facial movements that last less than a second, and they reveal true emotions before the conscious mind can suppress them. Let me give you a practical example. You come home early, unexpected, she's startled. Now, a normal startle response includes surprise in the eyes, maybe a slight gasp, but it transitions quickly to relief or happiness when she recognizes it's you. But if there's guilt involved, you'll see something different. The surprise will be followed by a micro-flash of fear or anger, just a split second, before she forces a smile. That transitional emotion, that's what you're looking for. It's the truth before the mask goes back on. Another one, watch her eye contact patterns when she's explaining something. Honest people generally maintain relatively steady eye contact, though it's natural to look away occasionally while thinking. But liars do one of two extremes. Either they avoid eye contact entirely because the guilt is too strong, or they overcompensate with intense, unblinking stares because they've learned that liars don't look you in the eye. Here's the real tell: inconsistency. If her eye contact pattern during a specific conversation is dramatically different from her normal baseline, something's off. Also pay attention to her mouth. When someone is genuinely happy to see you, the smile reaches the eyes. It's called a Duchenne smile, and it's almost impossible to fake. But a forced smile, the kind a guilty person gives when they're pretending everything's fine, only involves the mouth. The eyes stay cold. The Stoics would call this living in accordance with nature. You're simply observing natural human responses without the filter of hopeful interpretation. You're seeing what is, not what you wish to see. Tactic 4. The routine disruption method. Here's a tactic that requires discipline, but reveals massive insights. Deliberately disrupt established routines and watch how she reacts. Let me explain. Cheating requires predictability. If she's having an affair, she's built her deception around your established patterns. She knows when you leave for work, when you come home, when you go to the gym, when you're busy with your friends. Her affair exists in the gaps of your routine. So what do? You change those patterns without announcement. Come home 2 hours early one day. Cancel your regular Thursday night poker game without telling her in advance. Take a random day off work. Show up at that coffee shop she's been frequenting. Not to catch her in the act, though that might happen, but to observe her reaction to unpredictability. If she's innocent, these disruptions will be met with pleasant surprise or mild inconvenience. Oh, you're home early. Let me finish this and we can hang out. Normal, flexible, welcoming. But if she's hiding something, disruptions create panic. You'll see it in her body language before she can control it. Tension in the shoulders, a forced smile that doesn't match her eyes, irritation that seems disproportionate to the situation, or she'll suddenly need to run an errand right after you arrive. Why does this work? Because affairs run on schedules. They're compartmentalized. When you disrupt the compartments, the structure collapses momentarily, and in that collapse, truth leaks out. The psychology here is about control. A cheating partner needs to control information and timing. When you become unpredictable, you take back that control. You force her to react in real time rather than according to a script she's prepared. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Flip that for catching deception. Truth is what emerges when routine meets disruption. Create those opportunities, and you'll see what's really happening. Tactic 5. The social circle cross-reference. Most men only pay attention to their wife's direct behavior. But if you want real intelligence, watch her social circle. Specifically, how they behave around you. Women talk. When your wife is having an affair, her closest friends usually know, and those friends will reveal themselves through their behavior toward you. Watch for Her best friend, who used to be warm, suddenly becoming cold and distant. Why? Guilt or moral conflict makes it hard to look you in the eye. Or the opposite, overly friendly, compensating for the secret she's keeping. Notice when conversations die the moment you enter a room. That's not paranoia. That's information control. Another tell. Friends making weird comments. You're so trusting, or you guys seem stable. These aren't compliments. They're projections of discomfort with knowing something you don't. Here's a tactic within this tactic. Engage her friends in casual conversation about relationships. Hey Sarah, how do you guys keep things fresh after all these years? Watch how they react. If they get uncomfortable or can't maintain eye contact, they're thinking about your situation. The cross-reference extends to family. Has her mother's attitude shifted? Does her sister act strange during dinners? Family members often know and are conflicted about loyalty versus truth. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look beneath the surface. Let not the several quality of a thing nor its worth escape you." Her social circle is part of that surface. Look beneath it. Tactic 6. The financial behavior audit. Money doesn't lie. If your wife is cheating, there will be financial footprints, and most men never think to look for them until it's too late. But this is one of the most reliable tactics because deception costs money. Here's what you're looking for: unexplained expenses, new clothes she never wears around you, increased spending on grooming, hair, nails, waxing, especially if her appearance improvement isn't directed toward you. Gym membership she suddenly starts using religiously, frequent girls' nights that somehow always cost more than they should. But here's the sophisticated part. Look for cash withdrawals. If she's trying to hide spending, she's not using the credit card. She's pulling cash so there's no digital trail. Unusual ATM activity, especially consistent amounts at regular intervals, that's a pattern worth noting. Also, watch for this: separate financial accounts or credit cards you didn't know about. I open this for reward points, or it's for my business expenses. These aren't necessarily red flags on their own, but if they appear suddenly and coincide with other behavioral changes, they're pieces of a larger puzzle. Another angle: check hotel and restaurant charges. If you see charges from places you've never been together, or during times she claimed to be somewhere else, you've got hard evidence. The psychology here is simple. Affairs require resources: hotel rooms, dinners, gifts, even just gas money to drive to wherever they're meeting. Unless her affair partner is covering everything, which is rare, she's spending money. And that money leaves traces. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." A woman invested in her marriage doesn't suddenly develop expensive new wants. When those wants appear, ask yourself, who is she wanting them for? But here's the key: don't accuse based on finances alone. Use this information to build a complete picture. Financial anomalies confirm suspicions, they don't create them. Tactic 7. The emotional intimacy test. This tactic is subtle but devastatingly effective. It's based on a simple truth: emotional energy is finite. When your wife is investing emotionally in someone else, her capacity for emotional intimacy with you decreases. You can test this, and her responses will tell you everything. Here's how it works. Initiate deeper conversations, not about household logistics or what's for dinner, but about feelings, dreams, fears, connection. I've been thinking about us lately. How do you feel about where we are? Or, remember when we used to talk about traveling to Japan? Do you still want that? If she's still emotionally invested in your marriage, she'll engage. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not immediately, but she'll try. She'll share something real. She'll ask you questions back. There will be reciprocity. But if she's checked out, if her heart is somewhere else, you'll hit a wall. She'll deflect. I don't know, I haven't thought about it. She'll turn it back on you without actually engaging. Why are you bringing this up? Are you unhappy? She'll create distance with irritation or dismiss the conversation as too deep right now. Here's another layer to this test. Share something vulnerable yourself. Tell her about a fear you have, a struggle at work, something that matters to you. A wife who loves you will lean in. She'll offer comfort, ask questions, want to help. A wife who's betraying you will be uncomfortable with your vulnerability. Why? Because intimacy with you creates cognitive dissonance with her betrayal. It's psychologically easier for her to maintain emotional distance than to face the reality that she's hurting someone who's opening up to her. Watch also for this. Does she still confide in you? Does she tell you about her bad days, her frustrations, her hopes? Or has she stopped sharing her inner world? When a woman is emotionally intimate with another man, she saves those conversations for him. You get the surface. He gets the depth. The Stoics understood that true connection requires presence. Seneca wrote, "While we wait for life, life passes." If your wife is no longer present with you emotionally, life, your shared life, is already passing. She's just waiting for the right moment to acknowledge it. Tactic 8, the confrontation clarity method. Let's talk about the final tactic, and this one requires courage, strategic confrontation, not accusation, not drama, but direct calm clarity seeking. Here's the setup. You've observed patterns. You've noticed changes. You've gathered information through the previous 7 tactics. Now you create a moment of truth, but you do it like a Stoic, not like a desperate man. You sit her down in a neutral setting, no distractions, no phones. You look her in the eye and you say something like this: "I need to talk to you about something I've been feeling, and I need you to be honest with me. I've noticed changes in our relationship, the way you communicate, the way you engage, your routines, your emotional availability. Something feels different. I'm not accusing you of anything, but I need to know if there's something you're not telling me, because I deserve the truth, and you deserve the chance to give it to me." Now here's what makes this powerful. You're not presenting evidence. You're not listing all the suspicious behaviors. You're creating space for confession by appealing to integrity while simultaneously showing that you're aware something's off. Watch her reaction very carefully. An innocent woman will be concerned. She'll ask what specifically you've noticed. She'll want to understand your feelings and work through them. She might be hurt that you questioned her, but she'll engage with the conversation honestly. A guilty woman will do one of several things. She'll get immediately defensive without you specifying anything. "I can't believe you don't trust me." She'll turn it around and attack you. "This is your insecurity problem, not mine." She'll minimize your feelings. "You're overreacting." Or she'll try to end the conversation quickly. "I don't have time for this drama." The key is your delivery. You must be calm, grounded, not emotional, not accusatory, not weak. You're a man seeking truth, not a boy begging for reassurance. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your fear of knowing the truth is the impediment, but facing it directly, calmly, with stoic resolve, that becomes your path forward, whatever the truth may be. If she confesses, you have clarity. If she denies, but her denial feels hollow, you have your answer in her delivery. If she's genuinely confused and wants to work on the relationship, you've opened a door to healing.